We've all been pretty excited for the Corsair to drop this summer season, and she's finally here. As a Sorc main, I was super excited for Corsair to be released, thinking she was gonna play just like a waterbending Sorc. So coming from the perspective of someone who's pretty much only played Sorc in depth, I'll be sharing my first impressions of Corsair, the dev review of Corsair, and then my own rankings on her. Keep watching to see my first couple weeks on this brand new class, and drop a comment about how you've been liking or disliking Corsair. Before season released, based on the footage of Corsair that PA had revealed, I expected her to fight way more like a Sorc. But just in the first few minutes after logging on and playing on her, Corsair felt way more like a DK. After leveling up and unlocking a few more skills, Corsair felt less like a DK and more like a hash based on some of her movements. I opted to not be power leveled so that I could get the full seasonal experience and learn Corsair's kit better. Something I had really been looking forward to from Corsair were all her different mermaid skills. Mareka Seastrol and Spiral Soak, some of the first mermaid skills you learn, are both super protected with iframes and super armor. The mermaid skills definitely did not disappoint, especially with their beautiful color scheme and the brief transformation. One of my favorite aspects of the Corsair's playstyle is her mobility. With the Mareka swing, she's kinda got that Spider-Man vibe. I'm used to iframing around pretty mindlessly, so having to aim and swing on Corsair was a little bit tricky at first. Corsair's mobility definitely feels harder to control than Sorc's, but not by too much more. I haven't grinded too much on Corsair, but from the little bit I did, she felt very fun and just as fluid as Sorc. However, it wasn't as smooth brain as just helicoptering through packs. In previous seasons, I've tried Shy and DK, but I never made it as far as I did with Corsair, partially because I didn't enjoy those classes nearly as much as I enjoy Corsair, and also because this season, PA introduced the simplified main story quest. So I was a little slow enhancing my gear, and my guildies had to carry me through Waragons. After enhancing some Tuvala gear and trying out Gahaz, I felt a lot more comfortable with Corsair's grinding abilities. She has really fluid movements, and it felt just so easy to go pack to pack and finish up any stragglers. So far, I've really only fought with Corsair on Seasonal Arsha, so I'm virtually only fighting other Corsairs. She's tougher to pick up than Sorc, and seems like she'll have a high skill cap and a big learning curve, but maybe she'll be easier for hash players. Corsair v Corsair is pretty fun, but it does feel a lot like trying to box on a slip and slide. You just can't catch each other. Fighting on Corsair is pretty much a game of who can get their mermaid skills off first to get that knockdown. She seems like she'd be pretty good in small group fights. I'm not sure yet about 1v1s versus other classes, and I don't think nearly enough people have brought her to war for us to tell how she does in large-scale fights yet. Overall, I love my Corsair, but she's definitely gonna take a lot of time to get good at. Here's a couple images showing the devs ranking for how Sorceress and Corsair compare, courtesy of Grumpy Green Cricket. If you'd like to see how all the different classes compare, I have a link to Grumpy Green Cricket's page in the description. Something that surprised me the most about the dev rankings for Sorc versus Corsair is the control. The higher the level of control, the more difficult it is to master that class. So maybe it's just because I'm coming to Corsair from Sorc, but in my opinion, Corsair was much harder to learn. Let me know what you guys think. For my personal ranking as a Sorc main, I would give Corsair a 5 for mobility. She's super agile and definitely playing on the seasonal Arsha server. Trying to chase down other Corsairs to fight was a pain. I'd give a 5 for her animations. The color scheme is super cool, and they just all look so fluid, except she is missing some animation cancels, especially in the mermaid moves, that are off-putting since I'm used to having that animation cancel when I go into the crows. For difficulty, I would say a 4.5. She's tricky, but Corsair doesn't feel impossible to learn, and I'm not discouraged from learning her and getting better on her. As of right now, I'm gonna say PvP for me is a 3. She's fun to PvP on, but I keep finding myself getting frustrated that I'm not landing my down attacks, I'm not landing my knockdowns. I think this rating will change with time. Right now she seems pretty decent in small scale combat, but we just don't know how she performs in Node Wars yet. PvE, I give Corsair a 5. She's super fun to grind on, and I think after season, I would probably use her as a grind ult for my infinite pot. I've heard a lot of people talking about re-rolling or tagging their Corsairs. For me, I think if they introduced a double tagging system so you could have 2 pairs of tagged characters, I definitely would tag her with another evasion class, but for right now, I'm running a DR Sorc and I'm not willing to give up my Suck Witch that I have tagged. Let me know if any of you are playing Corsair for season, and if you're planning on re-rolling or tagging her afterwards, and how you've been liking PvP and PvE on this new class.